Hey guys, this is Shell, your rolling MC, and I am the mouth on the mic of Hitting the Streets podcast show. Today on the show, I have the wonderful Barbara Bowie and Jen Fletcher is joining us tonight. Yay, Jen! Glad you're here.
I'm glad I'm here too.
So really quick, Miss Barbara, would you please introduce yourself?
Barbara Bowie, as she said. I am the founder and executive director for the Dr. Bowie Scholarship Foundation here in Sherman, Denison.
Alrighty. And so tell me a little bit about that foundation.
The foundation I started back in 1996 or 7, and it started out as a poetry venue because I'm a poet.
Okay.
And I used to do monthly poetry venues. And when young people would come with their poetry, there was always this negative side of it. It had to do with incest or abuse or something like that. So when I realized that our kids don't have an outlet, I started focusing on the kids to give them that outlet, and that's how the program started.
Okay.
And it started out as performing arts, and I still do that, performing arts after school program, and we get kids involved in music, drama, art, dance.
Oh my goodness, yeah, that's awesome.
And we do musicals. So I do the drama with the kids.
Yes.
And I have others who come in for art, and I do music as well, but
So is it like teaching and educating and then getting them to learn how to express themselves?
that is one aspect of it,
Yes, ma'am.
because we do that where kids can come and express themselves any way they want, whether it's dance or music or speaking or whatever. But the main thing is we do about 3 musicals a year. So we have 3 sessions like summer, fall, and and at the end of each session we do a musical. And I love that part of it. Our program has been very different than a lot of the after school programs because we focus on that performing arts. It's not a babysitting, and the kids are learning something, and that they're doing things that they're interested in. Because we make sure that the kids are interested in the performing arts. That's why I say we're not a babysitting. And it over the years it evolved into, well, we always did community things, programs and projects in the community. But after the 2011 Freedom Riders reunion in Jackson, Mississippi, I spoke with my brother and one of the other Freedom Riders, and since I have a nonprofit organization, which that happened in 2001. But anyway, I decided really that I want to bring the Freedom Riders to raise the awareness of that history and keep it alive.
So let's talk about that a little bit. How did you become a freedom rider? I mean, what are the qualifications to be a freedom rider?
I never thought of myself as a freedom rider until very recently, actually. My brother validated that on his deathbed, really. But what happened is that my brother, I loved my brother. I looked up to him. I was 13 He was 19.
Mm.
So I followed him around, always wanted to do whatever he did. So when he got involved with the Freedom Riders, Martin Luther King, and that whole deal, I wanted to be involved too. So I followed him around. He would take me to the different cities where they were meeting with SNCC and CORE. And then he would leave me with his, one of his girlfriends lived in Macomb. So he would leave me at her house or whatever. But I still felt a part of that.
Mm-hmm.
And then a couple of things happened. One thing was that when my mother asked me to go with her, my mother was a maid for Millsaps College, and she also did that for one of the professors. And she asked me to go with her to clean his house one day. And when we went, we were standing out waiting on the bus, like that movie, The Help, with a bunch of maids.
Mm-hmm.
And so, of course, they let me get on first. And I got on the bus, and I sat down in that first seat.
Sure. Sure.
And the maids got on, they went to the back, and they were calling me. My mom was like, "Yeah, come on back here." Come on back.
What are you doing?
I never moved. I stayed there.
Good.
And there was a white guy in front of me and a white lady there and another white person beside me. This guy started cursing. He was calling me names worse than the N-word.
Oh,
I'm sure.
Wow. You were a child, though, right? You're just a child.
I was a child.
That's so wrong.
I was a teenager.
Okay.
And when he got up, all the maids in the back, they started tightening their umbrellas because they thought he was gonna do something to me. And he didn't. He continued cursing, and he got down on the step, for the next stop.
Sure.
And he finally got off. And the whites who were still there,
Yes.
they looked at me with that kind of satisfying smile, kind of look like, "You go, girl," kind of thing,
Good.
Because I
You
never
made a
said
stand.
anything.
Yeah.
And-
Not knowing it, but you made a stand by sitting there, not realizing what was happening.
Exactly.
Yeah, you're innocent.
So that was one thing that, kind of pushed me forward to the activism. But then my mother died. When my mother died, it was, she had gotten sick at home. I was downtown with my friends and after work, and she was taken to the hospital. So when I got home, it was like 5 something, and people were telling me all up and down the street, "Bob, get home, your mama's in the hospital." And I ran. I tried to get someone to take me, but couldn't find anybody. So I just ran up to the hospital.
Wow.
And she was in the emergency room. And when I got there, a friend of hers had brought her there. And she was very sick, and had a wet paper towel on her head. She had vomited. She didn't want to vomit anymore. And I asked him, I said, "Well, how long have you guys been here?" And he said, "Since about 2. Well, it's now 5:30.
Yeah.
So I was like, I went up to the desk, and I said, "My mom has been here since 2:00. She needs to see a doctor." They said, the lady was very rude, and she said, "We don't have any beds for your mother, and there are other people who need to be seen." And so I go back to sit down, and I'm watching, And of course, there were people there when I got there, but then there were people, whites, coming in and being seen, and we're still sitting there. It was about 9:30.
Wow.
When they called my mother.
Wow.
And they put her in this treatment room. But then shortly after that, and she was able to lie down. I was so glad because she was trying to keep from vomiting, and because she had vomited blood. And so while we were in there, the nurse came in with a wheelchair, and she said, well, your mother's going to have to wait outside because there's someone else who needs to see the doctor. Okay? When they got her up, she vomited and just, all over the floor and all over the nurse's uniform, which I was glad. But,
well,
Right.
And so, they took her upstairs. She needed transfusions.
Oh, wow.
The doctors wouldn't let us go in. And that was devastating to me because we weren't a family that said I love you all the time to one another. And I wanted to go in and say that to my mother.
Sure.
And it was very important to me. And the doctors, they were admitting her, and they told us that we couldn't go in, my brother and I. And he said for us to go home, because they were trying to admit her. Well, of course, it was late, and we tried to fight that, but we left. And then the next morning, she was critical.
Yeah.
And they still would not let us see her. They took her down for surgery and everything. She never came out.
Oh, my goodness, Barbara.
And so that was, another thing that pushed me towards being an activist in this movement. And I thought, my brother and the other freedom riders, they were riding the buses and doing, everything. My friends and I, we did sit-ins, which we loved. We were having fun.
Yes, I brought that up the last time that we talked because when we were dealing with the historical marker, you straight up and said, I will do a sit-in. And I was like, I am with you. I will sit with you. I'm ready. Yes, I remember you bringing that up.
Because I will start that because that's one of the things that made such a difference,
Yeah.
Those sit-ins were very important. I did not think that at the time, so I was still not considering myself a freedom rider.
Really?
And when I talked to my brother when he was very sick and he eventually passed away, he said to me, he said, the sit-ins and protests that you guys did were just as important as us riding the buses and, and he said, you need to be up there with us, because I was always presenting them. And he said, you have stories to tell.
Yes, yes.
And so ever since then, that was 2017, that's what I've been doing because my brother knew, he was the smartest man I knew.
What has been your biggest challenge that you guys had to face and overcome being a part of this Freedom Rider and your activism? What has been the biggest challenges for you?
Well, I think the challenge is still there.
Okay.
Because we're fighting for our rights. And the opposing side are trying to keep us from that. And I know that during that time, if someone would have asked, why are you doing this? We would always say, so that our kids won't have to go through
Yes,
this.
ma'am.
And so we fought, got beat up, some died. But this is still going on. To me, this is a slap in the face, especially with the voting rights and
Yes.
things like that. And, our young people need to get involved with
Yes,
that
ma'am.
because
Absolutely.
that's what we did. We fought for those rights and we won that fight. Now, why we're having to fight it again, I do not understand.
Yeah, I feel like I watch and I read, and I feel like we have taken a step backwards, a big step backwards.
Of course.
And I don't understand that either. After, when I say we, my family members as well, has fought so hard to get past those things. And here we are doing a podcast talking about the same thing that happened moons ago that we overcome.
60 years.
Yeah, 61.
61
And
years.
so
1 years.
Just
yeah.
outrageous.
They, I feel like we should sue them. We've already, the law was, the law is in place.
Yes,
They
sure,
should.
yes.
So what are you doing?
So let me ask you this. You brought that up about the younger generation. Like my family members too, and my mom taught me because she wanted me to learn. She wanted me to do better. But how do you encourage the community and the younger generation to get involved? Where do they start to get involved in this, in activism, in service?
When we're talking about getting involved to young people, I think they feel that that's a big undertaking, and we need to encourage them by helping them understand that it doesn't have to start big.
Yes.
It can start right in your community, right in your city, or right in your state, but mostly get something started. And right in your church, you can start a movement
That's
small, and it will, before when George Floyd was murdered, that went all over the world.
the world.
Yes.
We were talking about that yesterday, how that movement went from the town to the state to the United States of America, and then in the countries.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's what we need to get them to understand. One or two people can start something. If it's something that you don't believe in, or something that you don't believe is right. But unless they know the history, they don't know.
That's
they
correct.
won't know that.
That's so correct.
So we need to keep the history alive so that they will understand that this is not new.
What message would you give to the community and I'm still going to talk about the younger generation about voting. And I know we've got some odds stacked against us, but it's very important to vote. What's your message on that to tell them? There's a lot of younger generation that I talk to. It's like, I'm not voting. It doesn't make a difference. It doesn't make change. It doesn't matter.
Oh, yes.
What message would you give to the younger generations? Because I talk a lot to the members here, my son, which is the younger part of the generation, and it was very hard to convince him to go vote. Now he did, and once he voted, he understood what I was talking about. But it was a hard sell. So what would be your message to the people, especially the younger generation, how important it is to vote?
Well, there are several things we can do. We can, with our young people, we can do some mock campaigns or something like that so that they can participate and understand. We need to do something in our communities that will help these kids. We're not doing enough. We're talking about bringing policemen in to our empowerment summit or the youth summit to talk to the youth and let them know that, you know, we're your friends. We're not your enemies. If you run into problems, you can call us. You know, something like that, because kids are afraid of policemen, you know, right now. So we're going to have to do some things, you know, ourselves in the community that will help them understand that, you know, this is a positive thing.
Yes, ma'am.
And we need to let them know that if you don't vote, you know, you're taking us into an arena that we don't want to be in.
Yes, ma'am.
Which is taking us backwards.
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely.
And so
Absolutely.
this history will, you know.
Not voting is giving away your voice. It really is. You may think that you're making a statement of, well, I don't like either choice, so I'm not going to vote. But that's not what it's doing. It's giving away your choice, to your voice, to everyone else that voted, and the winner has nothing to do with you. It has to do with the fact that you have chosen to do nothing.
Thank you for that,
That
Jan. I
is
mean, that is so
important.
true. That's a very good point. Very good point.
We've got to get people to realize that.
Yeah. So let's talk about your second Black History Month festival. I'm here looking at the flyer, and Jan, you said you were the media coordinator of all of this, and
Yes, I am.
Miss Barbara, kind of tell us a little bit about what you're doing here for Black History Month.
Well, what we want to do is have activities all month. And what we're trying to do, we have several activities.
Yes, we do.
But we want to encourage other businesses and organizations to come aboard. We can start a monthly calendar or a Black History Month calendar. We'd like it to be monthly, but anyway. And have everybody on that calendar so that our media person can get that out, and so that people will know what's going on for Black History Month, all in one.
In the community, yeah.
Yes. And so what we're doing is the best that we can do.
Yes, ma'am.
To bring events that are very important in the community. So we're doing, we start out with our youth summit.
No, welcome.
Well, we welcome the Freedom Riders. Thank you.
And there's Jan going, hold up, wait a minute.
We are welcoming the Freedom Riders
Yes.
on Thursday.
Okay.
That's right.
It's
See,
an RSVP. You have to RSVP for this. It's going to be
Great.
great.
at Night Furniture.
Night Furniture.
Okay.
And
On Thursday the 10th.
Okay.
and
So Thursday the 10th at 7 p.m. is the Freedom Riders Welcome at Knight's Furniture here in Sherman. Okay.
Yes.
And then the Youth Summit is after that, correct?
okay.
Working together
Against
against divisiveness,
hatred
and bullying.
Okay.
So now we're gonna do one summit at Sherman in the morning, and hopefully another summit in the afternoon in
Okay.
Denison.
All right.
So we're trying to do that.
And what's going on at 6 p.m.? It looks like you're doing another summit at the First United Bank.
That is our empowerment summit, which is what we did the last time we did it, and it turned out really, really well.
Awesome.
It was awesome.
People still talk about it.
Okay.
And what we do is, the Freedom Riders are on a panel
Sure.
and talk about that history.
Oh, gotcha.
And I bring my brother's video into that because he talks about spending the 39 days in the Mississippi Penitentiary on death row. He talks very specifically about that, and people want to hear about that.
Okay.
And so the Freedom Riders are there with that history. But what happened is that once we started talking, then the community, which was our audience, started talking.
Oh, I see.
And they ended up talking to one another back and forth about what they could do in the community to help, bring things forward.
Right. Okay.
And it was so interesting. It just turned out really, really interesting. So we're trying to do that again, and this time we're going to be at First United Bank.
Okay.
That brand new.
Yes, it's a gorgeous bank, two-story bank, yeah.
Yeah, in the community room in the back.
Okay, sure. We have Barbara Bowie here, and we have Jan Fletcher, and we are talking about the second Black History Month festival that's going on. And so tell me a little bit more about this Greyhound bus thing.
Greyhound bus has always been a part of the Freedom Riders. They started out riding the Greyhound Trailways bus across the South.
Gotcha.
And so when I started this after the reunion, and Greyhound was the one that kind of did everything for that reunion. They had buses, and so I approached them, and they have been coming and allowing us to use a chartered bus during.
How cool. Okay.
But mostly in San Antonio.
Okay.
So I said, well, let me see if I can get them here.
Sure.
So we're gonna have the Greyhound bus leading the parade.
Okay.
But since we're doing things in Sherman and Denison, if some people want to come from Denison to Sherman, let's say for the Sweetheart Banquet, we're gonna have a place, there in Denison, which will be the City Hall, where people can board the bus. Freedom Riders will be on it and come there. If people from Sherman want to come to the parade, which is that morning, the Greyhound bus can pick you up at the courthouse.
Oh, I see.
And so, and we need to fill the bus up, so that
Fill
we
the
can,
bus.
right, so that we can continue using it. If we don't really use the bus, then they're not gonna continue letting us do it.
So what is
that
this?
means that people can get a chance to ride in the parade, in the bus, with the Freedom Riders.
Oh,
Exactly.
And I've already got one rider on there.
okay.
We need 50.
Yeah, okay, I was gonna say, what's the magic number?
So we need people to sign up, call us, and we will be happy to take your reservation to ride the bus.
10 cents.
10 cents a ride.
10 cents a ride. Okay.
And,
So-
and one, my reservation said she would even pay for 9 other riders.
Yeah. Tell me about the Valentine's Sweetheart Banquet. Where is this happening?
This is very important because it's at the Elks Lodge in Sherman. And the reason it's very important is because back in the 60s, the Elks Lodge came up with this membership thing, which we could not really challenge. We couldn't go and do a sit-in at the Elks Lodge because they came up with, membership. You had to be a member to go there. So we couldn't challenge that. And so they were successful with that, keeping blacks out. And so now here they are, they're wanting to get involved with our Black History Month.
Well, that's cool, yeah.
Good for them.
Yeah.
So we will be doing our Sweetheart Banquet there. We have our guest speaker as Senator Royce West
Yay.
out of Dallas. And so that's really, really, really important for us
Sure.
that he, has accepted that. And we also have Fingerprints Band out of Dallas, and we will be giving scholarships out, but not at the banquet.
Okay.
At the banquet, we're gonna do our
Passing the torch.
passing the torch ceremony, which is like the Freedom Riders, will still be on their panel, but they will pass the torch down to our recipients.
Okay.
And so, should we say who our recipients are?
Well, it's your call because this is your banquet. But if you want to advertise who's getting them, that's up to you.
I think so.
I think
Because
that's
I'm
good.
real excited about
I am too.
First of all, Racy Guest will be getting one. And,
Yay,
and
Gracie.
that is about someone who has done things in the community
Yes, ma'am.
that support
Giving back.
exactly.
Well deserved.
But another important one is that we will be honoring Bill Douglas.
Oh, that's gonna be awesome.
That will be, because when I looked up their history, I called Brad
Mm-hmm.
and I said, Brad, you're just you're a fruit from the tree.
Yeah.
I said, we need to honor
Mm-hmm.
the tree.
Honor the tree.
And so he's very excited about that. So I think that's real important.
Yes, it
for
really
us to
is.
do
And I
that.
noticed that you have a lot of sponsors here. Douglas being one of them. Spiffy Spa, is that correct?
Yes.
Tri-Incubator, First United, Humanities Texas.
Yeah,
Humanities Texas is number one.
Oh, wow.
They awarded us a grant to do this Black History Month festival.
Wow.
Yes.
That's awesome. And then I have Emerson, Greyhound, Home Depot, and there's one, I cannot read that.
That is the Villas.
The Villas, I
Park
see that. Mm-hmm.
Haven, because they had offered to allow us to use an apartment for our guest speaker.
Oh, sure. Okay. And then Easy Way Insurance Group and Hey Sugar.
Yes.
Yeah. That's
They
good.
when we were doing the concert with the Temptations,
Uh-huh.
Hey Sugar was, they got involved at that time,
Mm-hmm.
and we needed them, so we have them on there as well. And the Home Depot has been with us for so many years.
Mm.
They, they're always giving us material to do whatever we're doing. They've just been there for so many years. They're always a sponsor.
Well, I have one more question before we wrap up and sign off. What impact do you want to leave on the world? She's probably like, I'm already an impact, so.
Has left a big impact already.
Well, we all need to understand that this would be a better world if we all could work together in peace. That may be, it's not impossible, but people need to come together and work together to make this a better place.
Amen.
Amen to that too. What else would you like for our audience to know before we sign off?
Well, we need you guys to help us make this Black History Month successful. We need you to get involved. We need you to buy the tickets. They're only $30.
$30 a piece. Yeah.
For the banquet.
Yeah.
Everything else is free. But we need you to come out and support the events that we're doing. We need you to ride that bus.
Yes.
Ride the bus.
10 cents a person.
We need
Yeah.
people to sign up for the parade.
Oh, okay.
We
Yes.
need
Sign up for the
more-
parade.
We need more groups to sign up for the parade.
Okay.
And businesses and everybody can be in our parade.
Oh,
We
yes.
just need everybody to just call and sign up.
Okay. And the telephone number is actually on this flyer right
Yeah,
now.
that's
Yeah.
Karen's
Share.
number.
Okay. Not a problem. Well, thank you so much for being on the show again. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
Jen, thanks for joining us. Got Jen over here from the couch. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm just cheering right along.
Well, that's it, guys. Once again, thank you guys for being on the show. And guys, I'm going to share the flyer on my page. There is a telephone number there that you can call to get tickets and to sign up to be on the bus, which that's very exciting. That's very cool. I hadn't seen that done before, so
It's awesome.
I'm looking forward to all of this. So,
Yeah.
all right, guys. So this is me, your rolling MC. Catch another episode on